Hello YouTube! My name is Sarah if you didn't know, and thank you so much for checking out my video today. So if you subscribe to my channel or you've watched any of my other videos, this video is going to be a little bit different today. So basically, obviously you know by the title, but I'm going to be talking about what it feels like to graduate during a pandemic. And obviously this is the first time we've ever been through this. I mean, me personally, I don't know about you guys if you're alive during the Spanish flu, but I wasn't. I've seen kind of like a lot of memes and stuff about how, oh, the graduating class of 2020 is taking this the hardest, and as someone graduating university, I would like to say this is kind of hitting me hard. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that today. Maybe I'll relate to a couple other people. Maybe nobody will see this, maybe nobody will care, but I just kind of feel bad that I've been ranting at my friends for 7 weeks straight. Yeah, let's basically just get into it. I have a couple talking points, so if I'm kind of drifted in the eyes, sorry about that, I am looking at my phone. What they don't tell you about graduating during a pandemic. I don't want this video to come off as complaining because there are a lot of people who have it worse than me. I am way privileged to have a home and food on the table and money coming in so I don't feel stressed about my bills. But I am still stressed about certain things and I am still sad about certain things, so I definitely wanted to kind of again have that conversation just in case somebody else feels alone or feels like they have nobody to talk to. I'm more than happy to have a conversation. You can comment down below or you can DM me on Instagram. Sarah's Situation is my Instagram. I am graduating this year. This is my 5th and final year of my university degree. Little background about me is when I was graduating high school, I didn't want to go to university. I never considered myself to be book smart. I have a really hard time learning stuff I don't want to learn. The problem is I just don't care for the way that the education is kind of delivered to me. I just think having a multiple choice test about random stuff is very limiting for a lot of people, and it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and that one test is just not a reflection of how smart I am. So basically the point of that was to tell you that these 5 years were very hard for me emotionally, mentally, and even physically. I had a hard time going to school a lot of the time. I had a lot of anxiety. Every time I got a bad mark, I felt like I was the stupidest person alive. So university wasn't the easiest thing for me. So a big part of what I did to keep myself going was knowing how proud my family and my friends were going to be for me when I was done. I was excited to walk the stage. I was excited to have that big moment where everyone is there supporting you and it's just a day for you, and I know that I should be more proud of myself and not be looking for other people to kind of fulfill that. But to be totally honest, that's what I needed, because without the push from my friends and family, I wouldn't have gone to university. It was really important to me that the people who supported me and wanted me to go got to see that big accomplishment for me. So before I was official graduate, I had to finish my classes online. As everyone knew, schools had transitioned to online schooling, and I know it sounds ideal to a lot of people, or I don't know, honestly, I think a lot of people agreed that it wasn't very good. Online schooling was just different, and after 5 years of a certain way of doing something, it was just very different to switch over and go to online schooling, especially for the last month of my degree, which was some of the most important content I needed to know for some of the highest weighted finals that I've ever had. So it was a big change. I was extremely unmotivated, so again, it was very hard to wake up and tell myself I had to go do my homework without actually going to a class. I had to go to Zoom calls, which again just felt like a major inconvenience, even though it wasn't. I know, again, I don't want this to sound dramatic, but I just want to make sure that if anyone else feels the same way as me, they have someone to come talk to and understand they're not the only ones feeling this way. In my final year, aka now, I took accounting, and accounting is so hard for me. So in one of the hardest classes of my degree, I was doing it online and basically alone. Anything that was confusing to me, it's not like I could go to my prof and say, hey, could you just write this out for me? Could we just work through it? Even though we were doing Zoom calls and you could talk to him, it's not that easy to do accounting over the phone or over FaceTime, so I had to really rely on textbooks, I had to really rely on YouTube videos, and I had to really practice, which again, it's not like it's a bad thing that I had to try harder, it just was harder. So putting that into kind of the perspective of my lectures were 3 hours and the professor spent about an hour going over solutions with us and helping us through, that was gone. We had about a 2-hour Zoom call, there was a couple questions, but again, you didn't have that face-to-face interaction. He can't tell when people are confused, so it was hard. So I just want to hit a couple of the major points of how I'm feeling after kind of giving you that backstory of how I got into university, that type of stuff. And if you'd like to hear a little bit more about my university journey, definitely comment that below, but I don't think it's the most important part for this video. Anyhow, so basically the first part was the first point. My first explanation was my first point is what I'm trying to say is that I feel like I'm losing a big part of school, and it is that celebration, it is walking the stage, it is wearing your cap and gown, it is getting your degree, it is taking those photos. I don't even have grad photos, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to get them. Obviously I could get them on my own, but again, it's just a part of the process that you lose out on. In my family, like, it is hard to get everyone together, so it does have to be kind of a special occasion for everyone to make it out. So again, to me, it was a moment where I was going to get to have my whole family there with me and just be happy and just be celebrating. So I am, like, it is very sad to lose out on that. The second part is that right now my future feels really unstable. I live in Canada, so there are jobs being made for students and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, there's not that much freedom in what you can do right now, obviously. So when it comes to applying for jobs, I can't apply for a lot of the jobs I wanted. I had a good job lined up, and unfortunately because of this pandemic, it was taken away. And I was so proud of myself for interviewing well, having the skills, and getting through to the next round of interviews, and it was taken away, you know? So my future does feel pretty uncertain and uncomfortable, and it sucks that I lost out on an amazing opportunity, and who knows, it could come back in the fall, or an even better opportunity could come by, but that was the first, like, adult job I was going to have. So now I will not be having that. It will be a little bit longer until I do get that job. Just kind of sucks. And again, going a little bit more about the future is, you know, whenever someone graduates, they normally have that next step, whether you're going to travel, find a job, move out. I can't do any of that, and anyone else in my situation also can't do any of that. So all those big next steps that you felt like you've been waiting so long for just can't happen. And I was so excited to go on a grad trip to Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii before, but if you know me, that's what I've been saying I was going to do for 5 years. And to think that I don't know when that's going to be able to happen, I don't know when I'm going to be able to celebrate myself or treat myself, again, just sucks. The second part of this that I'm not stoked about is I'm someone who kept busy to feel okay. And what I mean by this is I was a full-time student, I had 2 jobs, I was on a cheerleading team, and I had a pretty healthy social life, I would say. And now that I've been kind of by myself with my parents, all day, every day, it's kind of had to make me stop and reflect and think about myself, and whether that's, you know, good or bad for some people. For me, it was just kind of painful to process everything I haven't been processing over the past 5 years, whether that be loss of friendships, loss of opportunity, not feeling my best, you know, struggling with mental health. All of those things kind of came to surface as you're alone and you're not doing your day-to-day routine. So for me, this whole time I felt extremely unproductive, and right now we're on week 7 and I'd say I'm feeling a lot better. But in those first couple weeks, I'd say up until about week 4, every day felt like I was failing, like I was underachieving, like it's like, oh, you just graduated, but all you do is sit in bed, and it's like, there's no way to get over that feeling beyond just accepting it, which was really hard. It's been extremely emotional for me. So the last point that I kind of want to touch on, which I just really want to clarify, I'm not meaning to be dramatic, I'm not meaning to complain, I'm just expressing how I feel in hopes that someone else kind of relates to this. But I feel like this time of year was my last opportunity to kind of be a kid and hang out with my friends and just be free, go on a vacation, and just kind of do whatever I felt was best for my life, because like I said, after you graduate, you're kind of expected to take those next adult steps. And this downtime between kind of the end of my classes, summertime, and the fall, I felt like that was kind of my last chance. Now I'm 22 and I feel like it's time I moved on, but what this pandemic took for me was that final breathing period to say, like, 5 years of school is done. All the stuff I missed out on while doing my schooling, I get to do it now. I have about 4 months before, you know, fall or kind of like the new year, when I should be really thinking about getting a job, where I should have a job. It feels like when we come out of this, I need to just move on, and that part sucks. It does kind of feel like I lost a part of my youth being in university can sometimes do that. I know that sounded very complaining, very ranty. I hope at least somebody related to that, but I think this part can relate to everybody, even if you're not a university graduate right now, or literally anybody. I think you can relate to this, which my point to this video is we are all losing something, and whether you believe it's for the greater good or whatever you believe to kind of make you feel okay, we're all losing something. Some people's are on an extreme scale. I'm so grateful and blessed to have a home and food, like I said, and my family is safe, I'm safe. Some people don't have that, so I do have to recognize that. But at the same time, you're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to mourn what you've lost, what you're going to lose, the future that you thought you had, the changes that we're gonna have to make as people and as society. I think it's totally okay to be sad about that. And I'm getting a little bit like weirdly emotional right now because I haven't, I guess, said this out loud to anybody. Ooh, this is weird. This is very weird to be like crying over this, but ooh, okay, sorry. I am sad and I am hurting and I'm disappointed in what's going on, but there's nobody to blame. It's not like somebody did this to us. We just, as a society and a world right now, are going through something. So after, like I said, about 4 weeks, I have been able to come to terms with that. I have been able to let myself be sad, let myself mourn my losses, let myself think about the future that I had planned, and remind myself that if just as good things, if not better things, are coming. So I hope that you hold on to that thought, because as we're going through this transformation, you don't have to be productive, but you can think about what's going to be new for you and what's going to be your new plan. I think that's very helpful for me. So basically, like I just said, I finally started to plan and think of things that I'd like to do when I can, and where I'd like my life to go, and kind of the person I'd like to be coming out of this. And I hope to be a lot more of a compassionate person. I hope to have better understanding of universal suffering and pain. Like, I know it sounds dramatic, but I think as a whole world right now, we are all going through a very painful and confusing thing. I have started crying a lot, as you can see. I think it's important for my mental health and my emotions to definitely let it out. And it's been hard because I felt like I had to be so strong. I felt like I wasn't personally losing anything. I wasn't sick. My family is okay, but I'm allowed to be sad, and I am, and so I know that was super ranty and all over the place, but I hope that somebody kind of heard this message and they understand where I'm coming from. And it was comforting to see somebody else, maybe the same age, maybe older, maybe younger, feeling what you feel. And like I said, if you'd like to have a conversation with somebody, I'm more than happy to listen. I will be reading the comments if there are any on this video. I can be reached in my Instagram DMs, which is Sarah's Situation, so check that out. But basically, just as a closing thought, kind of how I opened, everyone is losing something right now, no matter how big or small. Everyone is going through this, and everyone is dealing with it in their own way. And I will not shame anyone for how they're dealing with this, because this is something that no one has ever had to go through. So just be kind, be intentional in your words and your reactions, and I've been really struggling with that personally. I need to understand that I'm not the only one going through this. So be there for people as much as you can. And again, that is different meanings. If you emotionally cannot listen to your friend rant, because that's how I feel like I've been overburdening my friends, just text them a funny picture, send them a good song, tag them in something on Instagram that's funny. It doesn't have to be that emotional burden of hearing a rant. You're able to set those boundaries, and I think that's totally okay. You can be there for people in different ways, so definitely find ways that you can be there for the people who need you, and find ways to reach out and just accept where we are and be okay with it the best you can, because that has helped me so much to just be okay with what's going on and realize that I'm not the only one. Yeah, just to close off, I hope that this was helpful for even one person out there. It was helpful for me to just be able to kind of rant and talk. I hope that wasn't the worst thing ever, and I totally understand if this is the most random video you've ever seen. If this is the first video that you're watching of mine, not all of my content is like that, so make sure to check out my channel. Everything everything else is a lot more lighthearted, and who's to say if we won't have a couple more of these, but just to me, this is what they don't tell you about graduating during a pandemic. I think a lot of people are going through similar feelings, and they may be at different stages of their life, but yeah, hopefully this helped somebody. That's all. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.